Music is just, I never dreamed when I was a child. You know how some kids say, I want to grow up to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. I never grew up thinking I want to be a musician. It just didn't happen that way for me, and I had never known anybody that did it for a living. I mean, I heard of, the big time stars, Stevie Wonder, people like that, Of course, I heard of them, people on records and stuff, but I never thought it would be me. So, how blessed am I? I'm very blessed, After that, I came home and I never had any other kind of job in my life. Playing music's been my only thing I ever done.
Come on. Now, this kind of music is a audience participation type song. You know what I'm saying? You just got to feel the groove. Give it to me a little stronger, fan. Come on, give it to me a little stronger. That's it. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Well. You got to feel the groove and let it make you move. Come on now. Yeah.
So, and the music has always just carried me through, Every up and down in my life, there's been some music involved to carry me through. That's the way I feel about music, it just carries me through. Well, as a child, I wanted to play. As a very small child, I started playing. Actually, I was singing in church and, in the choirs and stuff. I never sang lead. I always was in the choir, that kind of thing. And then by the time I got in about the 5th, 6th grade, I remember I'm from a small town, very small. And back in those days, schools were segregated in the USA. And we had very small schools. So our high schools only graduated about 13 people at a time. So that tells you how small the population of the school was. So in order for the choir and the band teacher, which was the same person, to have enough students to make a band or a choir, she would have to go down to the elementary school and find people that could sing or play and teach them along with the high school students to make an ensemble. So that's how I got going. When I was about 5th or 6th grade, they started bringing me up to sing with the high school choir and play with the high school band. So that's how it started.
People always come up to me and they ask me, and they say, Funch, how come you musicians can't count past 4? I said, what do you mean by that? They say, well, when y'all get ready to play a song, y'all always say 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's as far as you go. I said, that's far enough. but actually, we can count past 4. Can't we, man? Yeah. Uh-oh. Are you sure? I ain't sure because somebody said yeah, somebody said somebody said maybe. Can you count past 4? Yeah. Oh, now they got some enthusiasm now.
There was a local band in my little town. All these old guys. Here I am, an old guy talking about those old guys, but at the time I was very young. I was like 12, 13 years old. And the guy that had the band, he was the local barber. So he had his rehearsals at the barbershop. So I used to go hang out at the barbershop, listening to them. And he'd give me a little couple dollars to sweep up the hair and all that kind of stuff. And so I was infatuated with the bass, the guy that played bass. He played bass. So like I said, these guys were in their 40s and 50s. I'm 12, 13 years old. So the guy that played bass, I was so interested in it. He said, oh, well, you can come by my house and play mine if you want to. Learn to play mine. So while he would be at work, I would go by his house. And his wife would let me plug up his bass, and that's how I learned to play bass. So finally, about a year or so, he quit the band, and I started playing with the band. That's how I started playing with a band. That's my first band. And the guy that ran the band said, I need somebody to play bass. And now he didn't come to me. He was talking to the old guy. He said, oh, I got a young fella for you. I got a fella for you. So little did I know, next thing I know, about a week later, I'm on a Greyhound bus on my way to Washington, D.C. It's never been nowhere in my life to play with this band. And then I played with them for the next couple of years until I got drafted into the military. Yeah. So after I got drafted, I was, playing a little bit. But everywhere I would go, they'd send me. I'd find a way to play, So I'll tell you, they sent me to Vietnam. I was going to Vietnam. I was with an artillery company. And so one day, man, I'm walking around, and I see this sign on the wall. It said, we need musicians. I said, what's that about? So I checked on it, and it was for special services they provided some entertainment for the troops that were there. And so the guy said, well, look, you got to go audition for this. You don't just walk in and take this gig. So they sent me to a base down in Saigon to audition. And then they put me together with a drummer and a guitar player. And we called our group the In Crowd. So for the rest of my time, for the last 8-9 months I spent in Vietnam, I entertained troops. Now, as you know, Bob Hope and all those guys, the real big artists used to come, but they would play at the great big bases where it's real safe, Well, we were in the military, so if something happened to us, it's all right, because we're already in the military, So we would play on fire bases, which would be like artillery bases out in the front lines. And I can remember, man, some of the best playing I did in my life. I was playing for these guys who've been over there battling, and they hadn't seen no music or heard no music, live music, and the whole time they're there. So we would have like milk crates, wooden milk crates set up on the ground because there wasn't no building. You're living in tents. So, and they set up these wooden crates, and we'd be up there playing. Somebody holler, incoming! And you run and go hide, because, you're taking fire. So not only that, but once they put us together, they assigned us 2 helicopters. Hueys, big helicopters, man. These things carry a lot of cargo. So we had 1 helicopter full of equipment just for the 3 of us. I mean, that thing was full. And then they had another helicopter to carry us in. So we flew around 5 or 6 fire bases every day. So you go, you land, you play, you get back, load back up, go fly to the next one, play, load back up, boom. So anyway, yeah, that was really, really great. So really, and I haven't been able to find, I've been looking for those 2 guys. Now it's been 1969 since I got back home. And I've never been able to find either one of them. So So maybe if one of them was on a cruise somewhere, maybe they'll see me or something. We can get back together. But that was some really great playing. So that was my experience with that. Believe me, you never know. Things will just happen for you. But you got to be willing to. Yeah, well, I know, but I had a lot of friends, man. And some of the same things that they had the same opportunity at the same time, but they were afraid to take the chance. They said, "No, man, I gotta stay on my day job. I can't go do that music thing, man. That thing might be over in a couple of months, man." Which I never had that issue. I just was always, and fortunately, my family was willing to deal with that, you know. So I guess everybody has their own set of outside pressures. But nothing ventured, nothing gained.
What did I say, everybody? Come on. I said I love you too.